The much anticipated GPT 5.5 model is now here. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking a look at the model. I'm going to go over the announcement as well as the benchmarks. Now, as you might expect with this model is rolling out to ChatGPT as well as Codex, and you should be able to access the model today. So they're calling this a new class of intelligence for real work, powering agents built to understand complex tasks, goals, use tools, check work, and carry more tasks through to completion. It marks a new way of getting computer work done. One really interesting nuance of the announcement is for this flagship announcement, they actually led with their Codex product. I think part of the reason for that is this model is exceptional at doing real world work. Previously to this announcement, last week they announced a new computer use feature within Codex, not just work within a coding environment. The thing with GPT 5.5 is this model, as they mentioned, excels at writing and debugging code, but also researching online, analyzing data, creating documents, spreadsheets. In terms of benchmarks, they mentioned that this is a step up in intelligence, but it doesn't actually compromise on speed. It matches GPT 5.4 on a per token latency in real world serving. If you were using the previous version, it will be just as fast as that previous model. But what they mentioned is it also uses significantly fewer tokens to complete the same Codex tasks. And this is one of the important areas with these types of models. It's one thing to be able to accomplish a task and score well on a benchmark, but it's a whole other thing to actually perform this in a context efficient way. Okay, so to quickly double click on the benchmarks. Now, one that I think a lot of people should pay attention to is GDP Val. Now, what GDP Val is effectively a measure where the eval will test how the agent does on real world tasks. And this is across 44 different professions. And this scored an 84.9%. Further on OSWorld. Now, OSWorld, this is where a model actually has to drive a computer. Think things like clicking, typing, navigating. This hit a 78.7%, which is above the human baseline of 72.4%. And I think with this model, it's just yet another reminder where we've passed from is AI good at coding really into a realm of a new type of question where it's what work is going to be left that can't be done end to end with AI. Effectively, if you have a system that can control your computer and act and click and use inputs and use your keyboard, it begs the question over time, what types of tasks, especially within knowledge work, will these types of models and systems not be able to perform? Now, in terms of how they're positioning the model, it's really around the practical real world use cases, which I do think is a really smart product move because a lot of people use these tasks increasingly for a number of different tasks at work. This can be writing and debugging code, but it can also be researching or analyzing data like they mentioned, but also some of the key component pieces like creating documents or editing spreadsheets, so on and so forth. On the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, they do measure and plot all of the different effort levels because you can select oftentimes from the API or from their consumer app, how much effort do you want to expend on particular tasks. In terms of agentic coding, again, this model is more context efficient both across Terminal Bench as well as Expert Suite. Essentially, it's able to use less tokens to get increased performance. In terms of a few demonstrations, so within the blog post, they have a number of really good demonstrations of the model. And here is an example of Artemis 2 and the trajectory where it's an interactive web app where you can see and it play effectively the simulation by the looks of it, the Artemis 2 mission. And then additionally within here, they do have a pretty impressive generation of a dungeon game. Now, albeit it's pretty simple in what it's doing, but if you just look at a number of the different nuances, like being able to actually swing and take the motions of the weapon, having the health bar, being able to see the individual health bars, as well as the simulation of the enemies actually coming towards you, there's a lot of different complicated aspects of what they're showing within here. And then lastly, they have this 3D tank game of just another example of its 3D capabilities. Okay, so next up, in terms of real world work, there are a couple different demonstrations. One is a financial modeling demonstration where you're going to be able to interact with pretty complicated Excel spreadsheets, and the model is going to be able to reason as well as interact over the spreadsheet. And the thing with those types of interactions is to be able to do it effectively, you essentially need to be able to navigate oftentimes giant spreadsheets. And the way to do that is you actually have to write effectively code to be able to interact with the context efficiently to update things to make sure things don't break and that it is coherent and does what you ask of it. Another interesting capability within Codex that you can try out is their browser use capability. Now, what's interesting with this, so you can use this for things like QAing different applications and testing certain things where it will be able to interact and click and interact with your keyboard just like you would in testing out the application. But it can also extend to the computer use capability, which is a very interesting aspect of this as well. Next up, in terms of some of the evaluations, now what's interesting with a lot of the model companies now is they're really focused in and around real world work. Like how well can these models, given their agentic capabilities, actually perform different tasks. And as you might expect, it's yet another leap in improvement. Now, in terms of coding, the one thing with this model is while it does outperform across a number of different benchmarks that they showcase as a part of the announcement, further down, it does tell a little bit of a different story across a number. For instance, on SWE Bench Pro, Opus 4.7 is still in the clear lead here, but across a number of benchmarks, there are mixed results. For Terminal Bench, this model performs quite well, but it still doesn't perform as well as Opus on SWE Bench Pro. There are some different variants. For ChatGPT 5.5 Thinking, this is going to be available in Plus, Pro, Business, and Enterprise. And for ChatGPT 5.5 Pro, for the even harder questions, this model is going to be available across tiers, but just know some of the variants are only going to be available to select tiers. Now, in terms of some of the specifics, now in their consumer products, you're going to be able to get up to a 400,000 context window, and GPT 5.5, similar to GPT 5.4, is also going to have a fast mode where you will be able to have faster responses at an increase in cost. And then the interesting thing with the API is it is going to be more expensive than GPT 5.4 at $5 per million tokens of input, $30 per million tokens of output. And for the Pro variation, it's going to be $30 per million tokens of input and $180 per million tokens of output. And if we take a look at the pricing of the previous model, so input tokens are now twice that from the API, and the output tokens are nearly that. And the one notable difference with GPT 5.5 is when we compare it to the previous version of GPT 5.4, is the pricing is actually twice as expensive. They do touch on this briefly. They say that GPT 5.5 is priced higher than GPT 5.4, but it is more intelligent, more token efficient. And they mentioned that within Codex that they tuned the model to deliver better results with fewer tokens. Even though it is more expensive, sometimes it's a little counterintuitive, because if a model is more expensive, but it's able to do it within less tokens and actually able to do this with less rounds and less revisions, can justify the cost. But otherwise, kudos to the team at OpenAI for the latest release. And if you found this video useful, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Otherwise, until the next one.